I'm Diana. A favorite childhood cookie was we called it Sandies. It's also known as Russian tea cakes or Mexican wedding cakes, but it's really all the same cookie. I'm going to tweak it a little so that it can be keto friendly, and by substituting almond flour and using monk fruit instead of regular sugar. We have, I get this almond flour at Costco. I have 2 cups of almond flour in here. I measured and then blended 1/3 of a cup of monk fruit so that it would be more finely textured, but I didn't dare measure it after. I measured it before. So this is the 1/2 cup of blended monk fruit. We have salt. We have 3/4 of a cup of softened butter, and vanilla, and 1 egg. That's it. It's a simple addition. We will blend. We will mix it and be ready to scoop. I forgot the nuts, so I'll say at this point, my new favorite way to chop nuts is to use this dicer. It works up and down like this, and inside it has a grid that you can put several different sizes of dicer in it. Any kind of nuts will work in Sandies. I'm going to use pecans today, and I of course overfill. We found that when you use the chopper to do the nuts, do not use the smallest dice. But look how finely it works to run it through the standard dice. And usually the size of the nut doesn't really matter, except that I don't like the traditional ways of chopping nuts too finely. I like a little bit of real nut in my bite. So we have all the other ingredients. We've added the nuts. And now that quickly we have our cookie dough. I'm going to just do a small pan for test purposes, and I'm using the very smallest scoop that I can find. It's about a tablespoon, and the number's too small to read. So just use a very tiny scoop, because these cookies are very rich. The butter ratio to everything else is very high. And look, those just make perfect little scoops. Some people would probably roll those into balls, but look at this, how even and accurate that is. I'm not going to fuss with it. This is going to be exactly how I get it ready for the pan. You'll see how that comes out. The cookies are out of the oven, and they came out at exactly 20 minutes. There's a little bit of a brown ring around the edges, so if it bothered you, then you could take it out at 19 minutes. Experiment. The keto-friendly powdered sugar I've tried is I blended more monk fruit, and I mixed it with cornstarch so that it'll look like powdered sugar. Let's experiment. I'm just using a shaker, instead of rolling them, I'm a little lazy. And in just a minute, oops. Now, since I spilled so much on the cookie sheet, I'm going to lift each one and put it on top of a mound, and then it'll even seem like it's rolled. Again, if the brown ring around the edge bothers you, take it out a minute sooner. And there we have our keto-friendly Sandies, or Mexican wedding cakes, or Russian tea cakes. Let's sample our keto-friendly Sandies.
I'm excited to try these. Oh. I think they're surprisingly good.
The almond flour changes the texture a little, but I would say it's still a delicious cookie.
Yeah, I prefer the one, but I would, even if I have a granddaughter that has is gluten-free and can eat very little sugar, and I could eat these with her and be very happy. And
these are really good.
yeah, I am excited.
What temperature were they baked at?
They're at 350.
350.
So
Wow.
it's a good experiment, and it looks to me like the only things you can't substitute in that recipe are the butter and the vanilla.
And the nuts.
Everything else you could experiment
Yeah,
with other gluten-free flours. You could well, the nuts you can leave out, and you can change it to any nut. What's the nut that you use for Nutella? Hazelnuts might be delicious in this. So it could be varied a lot.
I think psychologically that this on top looks like powdered sugar
Yes.
is helpful. And I've had gluten-free breads, and they're really heavy, but this isn't really
It's not
heavy.
heavy.
This
No,
is
that's
really
good. I thought it was quite good.
I also think it's important to bake it longer than less. It wouldn't be a good gooey cookie.
Yeah.
good.